Hello, everyone. Well, we're just chugging right along. I think today we're going to talk a little bit about, well, it's been interesting over the last 10 days.
Can I show them what happened in New York?
What happened in New York?
So we're in New York, in Buffalo, New York, this past weekend, and I had broken a nail, so I was looking for a place to get it fixed, and I found a place in New York. But you have to look at this, and I should have had it fixed, but now I'm keeping it as a souvenir. Look,
Crooked.
it's not crooked at all.
Uh,
Well, I was showing them for.
Yeah.
Let me show them up.
Yeah, okay.
It's really, really bad. For those of you who know nails, it's just crooked. I can't find the camera.
The joy of this. Yeah, you found it.
You can't see it on here.
Not as probably as
There's
good
a
as you.
good view.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's hilarious, and it's so crooked. I don't know if you can't see it from here. But anyway, it's really, really, really crooked, and it's so funny.
Yeah,
But
it was funny. Like when you showed it to me, you like put it right up in my face. I'm like, wait a minute, somehow, some way.
Let's talk about why this connection's so intense and what people are going through right now. And I'm not an astrologist. I don't know, but there's something going on with the energies and some twin flame energy, and it being even more intense.
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge is during the intensity is to keep your heart open and keep an open mind, because the mind wants to fill up a whole bunch of information that is or isn't the truth. You know, they don't want me. They don't, they're not reaching out. They're not doing this. They're not seems to be the biggest thing. And then we start to come up with the internalization of what everything means when somebody disappears, what it means when they're just not responding, what it means when you're just not being spoken to. All of those things that are happening on the outside is really on the outside. When you're starting to search for answers inside, you end up saying different things to yourself and end up closing your heart without even intentionally meaning to do it. I get it. Somebody's behavior is probably not the best behavior, or they're not showing any matter of respect, but you're going to have to really pay attention to how somebody respects themselves first. I mean, everybody's got their story, and everybody in this connection is going to be coming from a place where some of the story is very important to understand why their behaviors show up a certain way. And that's hard to do. It's hard to do, especially if they're not all the way open about some of the things, or they have very selective memory about things that have happened to them. It's not easy to navigate. And it's definitely very intense, because you can feel a whole bunch of energy towards someone. And really, a lot of that energy and connection starts to play a story that you don't know is there. And to be able to understand that, I think, is quite difficult, especially if the communication is hindered because of those stories that are playing in the background. This is not an easy connection to navigate. Nobody ever said it was, and you don't really need a navigational device for it. There's not one that's going to work anyway, unless you go inside and do some work. And even when you're doing the work, what you're going to have to realize is sometimes you need to put love in certain spaces on the inside of you in order for them to be able to experience you the way that you want to be experienced. It's not easy to experience each other. We've been doing this, and sometimes even our experience gets hindered because of things that we experience in our dream state and in everyday life, and from 3D to 5D and all the mixtures in between. I'm sure you can probably add on to that. From the feminine energy to the masculine energy, there's always going to be a level of intensity that really kind of brings out whether you think you're good enough or you're the right person for that person. And I think when those things happen, you go in your head and you get in your heart, and the next thing you know, you're looking for ways that you're not the best person for that person. And I think that ends up being something very painful in this connection. No.
I agree.
No.
For sure. Are you looking for somebody else to answer?
No. Just thought maybe throw something. Did I say everything? I didn't realize how much I said. Sometimes it seems like this. Sometimes, and here I am now. I can hear myself judging myself right now.
About what?
About just running off at the mouth. I mean, I may be saying something that is important to somebody, but I may just, you know how sometimes you just go in there and you're like, am I even making any sense? You know, you in this connection, sometimes I feel like I'm not the best for you. Sometimes I don't feel. I mean, I can hear my thoughts and hear things that I say inside. And it's hard to be vulnerable when you're going through that. You know what I mean? It's hard to open up and say, man, I'm really not doing enough for her. I'm really not good enough for her. I can hear myself say that sometimes. And then what I end up finding is that I end up just really trying to be better. But then sometimes I feel like I just make it worse. It's a weird feeling. It's a weird way of thinking too, because, you know, we are human after all. We're going to do human things. We're going to have human thought processes and patterns that we always have had. And just, you know, things that I can look at now because I've had a lot more of my memories come flooding in. You know, when you look and you go, okay, we have, in a lot of ways, a perfectly imperfect connection.
Explain that.
We go through our ups and downs. We go through our hills, our valleys, our mountains. Then we go through our outer space moments, and then we come back and we fall head first on Earth. And usually, what I'm trying to say by that is that we end up coming up with internal dialogues that make us feel like the other person is not happy, or, you know, we're not good enough for the other person, or, you know, wish that, you know, I could be the better person for this person. I do that more times than not, but then I also hear myself saying, why am I saying that? She didn't say those things to you, but I'm saying those things to me. So I'm wondering, and sometimes it's easy to get caught up and say, is she saying that to me and she's just not saying it out loud, or is that me saying it? Where's this coming from?
I think it could be that I might be saying it about me. You know what I mean? I might be saying, okay, I'm not fulfilling my, mission as a twin, I guess, or as a wife, or a mother even, or as a companion or a partner, or as somebody who's connected, right? So we do tell ourselves, okay, there's a sort of a, and it's different in connection than relationship. In connection, in relationship, you don't give a shit. You know what I mean? You don't, you know, if you disappoint the other person, or if the other person, but in connection, it's different. You don't want to disappoint. You don't want to fall short of. You don't want to lack of, right? And when that happens, it gets very overwhelming and very intense. So then you walk around with, okay, maybe I'm not fulfilling my mission, or maybe this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing, or maybe I've taken the wrong path, or I've said the wrong thing, or I've done the wrong thing, or I've messed up mission altogether. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, if the other twin's doing the same thing, then it becomes even more intense, because then you've got two negative thought processes, two negative energies that are coming in. And
which really I think happens to us.
It happens to us for sure.
Because we it's hard to be perfect in an emotional connection when this is your very first deep, real, true experience in it. And sharing my emotions or being emotionally connected to you, I'm always going to fall short. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think perfection's unattainable in anything.
Well, that's what's so perfect about it.
Right.
I mean, it's not that I'm trying to be perfect. It's like I'm telling myself you deserve perfection. And then when I look at myself, I tell myself I'm not that. And I'm not doing that to hurt you, I think there's a space in me that's already hurt from that. But we all end up taking this out on people we love, or we end up taking this out on people that have been in our lives. But when you're in this connection, it just shows up in so many different ways, that it almost rips you apart. Well, actually, that's what people call separation. But it literally, you just never get to the foundation part where how do you fix it? And
and I think in a lot of circumstances, the conflict gets in the way of you of holding these types of things in and not saying things or verbalizing them or not feeling like you're able to. And then that's where we get a lot of the questions that we're getting. And it seems like we're getting a lot of the same questions over and over and over again. Why is this intense? Why am I feeling this? Why do I have to go through this? All these same questions over and over again. I think it's coming a time where twins all over are coming into another, what I want to say, black night of the soul, dark night of the soul.
I like that.
Mine's been black night of the soul. Not even going to go into that. But
different video, different altogether.
I just associate.
Mm-hmm.
But it was anyway. Yeah. So I think a lot of twins are falling back into that. Why am I different? Why is this happening to me? Why do I have to be in this type of connection? Why can't we be together? Why can't, we have a lot of clients who have twins that are celebrities or somebody in the public eye. And I'm telling you what, we've got an amazing coach and who's going through that. And she's figured it out. She's figured out that physical togetherness doesn't have to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have to be there, and she's no longer obsessed with that.
Right.
Physical connection. But we have a lot of clients we talk to who are in that situation. They don't understand why they are having to go through this, why your sister's not having to go through it, why your brother's not having to go through it, why your best friends don't understand what you're talking about. Why is your relationship or connection more intense than your brothers or sisters or your best friend? Why is it there? The whys are big. I've been going through recently a why stage, right? Why do I have certain gifts that you don't have? Why do I have certain gifts that my family don't have? Why do I have to be the one that's different, or the black sheep? There I am with that again. But or the one that's crazy, or the one that's out there. Why do I have to be the one that is a little bit off, right? Because of my belief system and my connection. And I've been struggling a lot with 3D, 5D connection and trying to live in a 3D existence and stay in a 5D type of headspace, or soul space, I should say. And it's been really difficult to navigate those things, like taking a lot more 3D responsibility on. And what I've been struggling with the most is figuring out my vision from when I was a child of this connection. I called it a big love when I was a kid, right? When I was a kid, and I know if you've watched our videos, you'll understand what I'm saying, but I felt like I had this box inside of me, right? I felt like I had this box. And when I opened up the box, it was so peaceful and loving and kind and amazing. And I had these images, these real images of what this connection should be, and what I'm looking for, and what this connection should be. That, along with the human teachings that I was given, both bad and good, but with my grandmother being so I want to say 1950-ish, right? Always have dinner on the table by this time, and never let your man drink out of plastic or anything but glass, and never feed your man on a paper plate. He's always got to have. My grandfather always had glass plates or ceramic plates. He never had, he was the whole 1950s style. The man goes to work, the man brings home the bread and the money, and the woman stays home and cooks and cleans the house, and that was it. So you have those sort of images, and then you're raised in things like that. And then of course I was raised in the 70s and 80s, so there was a lot of women's liberation and shit like that too coming off of that. But you're still instilled with belief systems and traditional things, right? And then I'm not even going to get into the religion that's instilled in you, but I've had to clean all that out.
11.
Oh, is it 11/11?
Mm-hmm.
And it struggling with that image of what I saw when I was a child, of this connection, and what it is two completely different things. Completely different things. And I struggle with that because that's the image that I had my entire life. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
That's the thought process I had my entire life. Sort of like coming off of the religion thing, the religious beliefs that were instilled in me that I didn't believe, and having to relinquish those, and having to relinquish this image of this connection, of this union that I had when I was a child, having to accept the fact that things change and the world's a completely different place. And
what do you think is the biggest difference between then as a child and now?
I guess imagination versus reality.
Interesting.
Does that make sense? Because back then I'm a child, so of course, a lot of girls was going to have their wedding planned at age 12. You understand what I'm saying? And images of this beautiful fairy tale images that we have. Mm-hmm. Right? And then of course we grow up and we have a little wedding in a church, and it's beautiful and it's lovely and it's intense, but it's nothing like we imagined. Absolutely nothing. There's no white horse. The Prince Charming comes to the service drunk, and that didn't happen. Wow. I made that up, but you know what I mean. It's a different image than what we have. We have images of a Cinderella, Prince Charming, everything's fairy dust and pixie dust, and when you get into union, and there's give and take, and there's no disappointment, and there's no conflict, and there's no pressure, and there's equality, and there's balance. These images that we have, it's the balancing act. There is no balance, right? Finding the balance is the hardest thing, right? It's finding that acceptance that it's not going to be all fairy dust and rainbows, but it's not going to be all conflict and negativity either. It's just way more intense than if you were having a regular type of relationship. Look, I'm going to tell you this, and I mean this wholeheartedly. This comes from me, and you can quote me, you can dub me, I don't care. Whatever, Roseanne me if you want to. Just whatever, Roseanne me. Just take me off the show. Kill me off. But if that's what you're looking for, if you're looking for that fairy tale type of unlimited communication and talking and pillow talking and great stuff, find yourself a soulmate. That's where that shit's at. There's still going to be conflict. There's still going to be, but you're going to enjoy the same things. You're going to have the same wants. You're going to have the same needs. You're going to finish each other's sentences. It's going to be all cutesy. And soulmates get married and live forever, and that's fine. If you're wanting a twin flame union, it's going to be a little different. It's going to be way more intense than if you have this soulmate type of, you know, soulmates are going to, they're going to be cutesy and they're going to be lovely and they're going to be fun and they're going to laugh and they're going to, there's a little bit more of a balance there, I feel, when it comes to a soulmate type of relationship. That's different. It's different than a twin flame union where two souls come together in union. The balance is hard to find. It's hard to find. And there's more conflict in the beginning than anybody needs. But it really is a point of, if you can overcome the conflict, if you can overcome the steps it takes to get into union, then you can just about overcome anything else that comes at you in union, right? You're gonna have really shitty thought processes. You're gonna have a lot of self-judgment. You're gonna wonder what the hell this is and why it hurts more than it would if you were in a soulmate type of relationship when there's separation. Does that make sense at all?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's not for everybody. I know we had a question. And I'm going to address it. We had a question that in our YouTube group, that the question was very simple. Do you think that that twin flames are forever? And my answer to that is I do. I really certainly believe that. But I wish the question was, do you feel? Because I think, but I also feel, and we've also been through it numerous times. I think they're forever, yes. I know they're forever, yes. I know if Lee and I were to walk away from this union, that the union would be there forever. The connection would never go away. It's always there. It's going to be there forever and ever and ever. I don't know how it couldn't be. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Soulmate connection's different, I feel. You can walk away from that, you can find another. That's my belief system. It is. That's just my belief system. I'm not putting that on anybody else. But I strongly feel that, yes, this connection is forever. Have I ever wondered, would it just be easier? Of course I have. Of course I've thought it would be so much easier to walk away from this and I wouldn't have to fucking deal with this anymore because this is some bullshit. Don't say you haven't either, because I know you have, right? We both have. But it just is. It just is. And, you know, with Lee and I and being in union and doing what we do for a living, this is what we do. We help twins all day, every day, because we've been through it. We know what it feels like. We know that there's more learning to do. We're certainly not twin flame experts. We're still learning as we go. But we can help with what we've been through and how to get to where we're at. We don't know what tomorrow brings. I don't know what next week brings. I mean, we're just trying to get through day by day. Right? What the fuck's tomorrow? Mm-hmm. I said the F word. Mm-hmm. Is tomorrow going to bring? You know what I mean? Who the hell knows? I don't know. Right? If tomorrow's even going to get here, I don't know that. But you just gotta find the strength to get through it.
I would say the toughest part for me personally is finding my innocence. When I had my dreams of what true connection and true love would be like, I was innocent in the way that I looked at it. I was innocent in the way that I wanted it. I was innocent in all of it. But then as you get older and as you go through life, a lot of things happen. And then that innocence almost seems like it was never yours to begin with. But here you come back and you find this connection, and the seed of being empathic starts to explode with finally some growth, with finally some water and some light. And you start to realize that the innocence that you carried back then is still something you can have. You just don't know how to remove all the other shit. So I guess I can see where a soulmate relationship could be important, but I could also see where this connection gives you the one thing nothing else ever will: yourself.
And that includes a soulmate connection. You're not going to find yourself in that.
You'll be able to live in a very peaceful existence. This connection shows you peace to the truth. It doesn't show you peace as it would be if you were just content with someone. I wouldn't be able to love as deep as I can now if it had not been for going through everything we've been through in our connection. Because I didn't know there were spaces on the inside of me where I wasn't loving myself. And I wanted her to fix those things, but all she could do was show me what they looked like. I had to fix them myself. That's the hardest part to this connection, is it will reflect back to you what you need to fix. And it's not easy. Most people just want the other person to be responsible for that fix, or they want the other person to do all of the work, or they want the person to really kind of just give them something that nobody else ever has. And there's no truth to that. You can't allow somebody to go into a space you won't let anybody else in. When this connection comes along, it'll show you your disconnect. It'll show you your ability to separate. It will show you what you've been able to do to yourself all along. And you think the other person's going to be with you based on that, but you've barely been with yourself. I had an innocence. I still have it, and I have access to it. I'm not perfect at it. I don't even know if there is such a thing. But you go back into this childlike experience where you could just live in a dream. And then you know that this other person is reflecting something to you. You can see yourself in it. But it's a part of yourself that still had all the other events that took place in your life. And that's where the separation comes in. It doesn't have to be that way. It's just how you communicate it. And communication is probably one of the most difficult parts of this connection, because sometimes you're having a dialogue with them in your head that doesn't make sense with reality. And then when they don't meet your expectations on the outside, you haven't told them about the internal dialogue you were having. So really, it's like a two-step process, forward and backward at the same time. Find your innocence. It's not easy, but you can communicate from it when you find it. Hope this video does something for you. And don't forget to subscribe. And if you're looking,
Our 10-year-old taught us how to do that.
We don't even have a thing that says
Is there a button down there?
I don't know.
I don't know. Why are we pointing down?
I don't know.
We're looking at this nail. That's horrible. There's a good shot. That's it right there. Crooked. Anyway, it's just funny to me. Yeah. We love you guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for following us. Thank you for subscribing to our channel. Thank you for interacting. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for sending us questions.
Thank you for your thumbs up and down.
Yeah.
I think both are important. Mm-hmm. I think it's just a matter of if you watch it and you actually get something from it, because the answers are inside you in this connection. They're not from us. And if you just don't know the right way to ask yourself, don't worry, we have coaches and we've got us here. We're not going to stop until, we don't know how to stop. So we love you guys. Take care. See you soon.